Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video, I specifically want to talk about when you should level up your gear and how you should do it in a more effective way to get as many good pieces as you can get. Now, I don't even want to talk about the pieces that have like double crit rate, crit damage, or perfect main stat with all the substats that you want. Those are kind of simple to understand. Most people will know how to upgrade those. The ones that are a little bit trickier is especially if you have already a nice piece, let's say for example running like this, but you're trying to look for a better piece, and how do you look for it more efficiently? And that's what this video is all about. So first things first, as you are doing your farming, you probably have like a lot of junk that you have no idea what is worth to farm. This guy is going to help you with all that. The first thing I always like to do is filter first by partition 1, 2 and 3. Why 1, 2 and 3 is because the main stat of these are very fixed, very easy to find something that you really like. What that means is you can be a bit more strict because you will probably find another piece with like crit rate, crit damage subs in the near future, and you can roll that again. So it's not as difficult to come by as 4, 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, more strict. So let's say we have 2 gear over here. I saved these 2 pieces that I want to talk about. The main stat is fixed, so we don't even care about that. All I'm looking for is in the subs here. Whenever I see a piece with attack percentage, crit damage, so anything that has, if I'm looking for like a crit rate set, anything that has 2 offensive stats, I would definitely roll it. Even if it has like crit damage, I will still roll it once. And what do I mean by roll? And some of you might use other terms like checking the piece. What I call checking the piece or rolling once is adding until the next stage over here. So this costs very little resources. You're effectively spending 5 of these blue to take one of your endgame tier up to level 5. 2500 EXP I think is probably not even one of these purple pieces, which is very cheap. You spend like what, 4k Denny's, very affordable to just make sure you're getting the right piece. So instead of like going all the way out and leveling it straight up to 15, not knowing where it's going to be and praying that you have your lottery luck striking either attack or crit damage, the more efficient way of doing this is actually first checking. I would always, by checking I mean like put 5, open 3, because what this does is it opens the last slot here. Now at this point you can consider it has 2 offensive stats for a crit rate piece. Anomaly proficiency is not too bad, so 3 out of 4. Then you will check, for example, the gear that you're using. Is this better or not? Let's say I don't have anything better, right? Like maybe I have a decent piece. What I'll then do is I'll roll again to the 6, and you have to be very strict with yourself. So now I get a crit damage roll and it becomes very tricky. So this is a win. I was looking for either crit damage or attack, and it did go into it. Unfortunately, it didn't come out crit rate in the last stat here, but I don't mind checking again. So I check again, and wow, it turns into another crit damage line. So this is very good so far. Unfortunately, my luck always fails towards the end, so now you can push on a bit further. And for those of you early game, maybe you are undoing so well in the early game, you don't have that much resources, I highly recommend you stop your HP pieces. You must remember, don't get too excited and oh my gosh, it's like scrolling all into crit damage. I want you to chill a bit. You don't really need too much HP in the early game, especially internet 40 to 45, unless you're like in the last few floors of the Shuri defense. 300 HP is not going to make or break your account at that point. You probably have other more pressing things to focus on. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to tell you what I'm actually doing, my thought process, but reality is very different. I highly recommend you not do a HP piece beyond 9 for at least until you reach like internet level 50 and beyond. So I'll check here, I'll push it all the way up to the next one. At this point, I probably don't have anything better than this already. I would have taken it up to 15, but the thought process is you check it again, it rolls into attack, very fantastic, everything is offensive, and I'll just roll it again, and it checks very nicely into crit damage. Thankfully, this is just a video, and it just perfectly gave me a good example of the strategy that we do, but not always you're going to get something like that. This is definitely a very strong piece that I can go ahead and swap it out with my Ellen already. Don't be afraid to level up a few times, because let's say you put in to 6, you actually get back 80% of the value, and when you like refund a level 15 piece. And I think that slightly lower is like between 70 to 80%, someone was mentioning in the community as well. So stuff like this 6%, I'm going to be testing it out real quick. But first, let me go ahead and refund some of this gear, this pen ratio on which I need the resources so I can continue making this video. If not, I'll be out of resources and broke. What is the next step that I'm doing is, for example, you have leveled it up. And now let's take a look at something that is not like perfect in that case, that scenario over there. So let's say we have something like this, where you have a crit damage, attack, defense main set, very similar to the one previously, but it has already rolled into like pen and attack. This one, even though everything is offensive, it might not be too useful for a DPS who doesn't care about anomaly proficiency, which is why I didn't take it up very, very high. Early game, you don't want to have too many of these lying around, and very likely you want to actually refund them. So stuff like this, for example, this attack crit rate, crit damage, if it rolls once or twice in the HP, is dead to me, at least towards the later game. In the early game, yes, it might be good, but don't forget this is an anomaly proficiency stat, so you have to be a bit more strict. You know your account better, but you have to be a bit more strict. So stuff like this, let's check it again. The thought process is the same. It has one offensive stat, but if it rolls crit rate, I don't mind. So let's again do on the tree. It's very cheap. I try to like make sure it's like just nice tree. Sometimes when you auto add, it gives you random stuff which costs us a bit more. Just remember it's roughly around 5 of these blue ones. So okay, very nice. I have no idea why they're giving me picture perfect stuff, but this is an example of crit damage, crit rate, and why it's always good for you to check your pieces very well, especially if you have like 1 crit damage. So I'll roll it again. I'll check for next one, and it rolls into crit damage. And this is a crit rate piece on an attack main stat. So this one I actually would like to go all the way up as high as I can. But for the sake of this video, of course, I want to do others. I don't just want to min-max one. So my thought process is I'll push this beyond to 15. But now I want to show you other stuff that how I would actually differ in my thought process. And that is partition 4, 5, and 6. This one is a little bit trickier because the main stat varies. So first of all, what you will be looking for is actually gear that is usable on your account right away. You don't want to check gear, for example, let's say I don't even play with a physical damage bonus character, and then I just want to check this because it has crit rate. Don't do that early on, just leave it. There's no harm just lying around. It doesn't degrade in usability or quality over time. Just leave it there. You might even find a better one in future. Go and find stuff that you really need. For example, this aided damage bonus here, I play Zhu Yuan, so I want to check this to see whether it's good. So I always like to open one, see this one. It defense, anomaly proficiency crit. This is something that I would consider not using. So I'll go to the next tier, like just push it just nice so that you can get to the next tier. And then it rolls. Once it rolls into flat defense, I will ask myself, do I have something better already? So for example, what I'm using on Zhu Yuan now is an 8 damage bonus on set with 2 anomaly proficiency and 2.4% crit rate. This is on set as well. So do I really care too much about this? 1 defense, and I probably need to have 2 more rolls in anomaly proficiency or 2 rolls in crit damage in order to make it work. If you're not really sure at this point, check it again. If it helps make you sleep better at night. So I will check it one more time, and boom, anomaly proficiency. So I know it's not gonna. The chance of it going the last 2 in the crit damage is not worth it at this point. And besides, it's on a crit rate set. I already have one on set. So these kind of pieces, I'm very comfortable in the early game at least. You don't need double of this. You just need 1. Unless, of course, you scroll a godlike one, then you can give this piece on set over to Nicole later on, this onset 8 damage, anomaly proficiency and stuff. But for sake of account progression, this is how I actually will do it more efficiently. So repeating the same logic, I will look for stuff. Position 5 attack, not as critical for most people. Fire damage, I don't play with any fire damage characters yet. Again, position 5 attack, not critical, because this is where you can get elemental sets. Other than that, position 6 energy regen. If you're not playing Anton, you probably don't need too much of this on an offensive stat like this crit set here. Not urgent as well, so I already have good pieces. I don't want to check those. I'm looking for my DPS pieces. These are like defense main stat, HP main stat. Don't care too much about that as well. 4-piece defense means that anomaly proficiency here on a crit, again not super critical. So I see here that there's nothing urgent that I need to do. Electric bonus, attack crit damage. This is a anomaly onset for my potentially I can replace for Grace. I'll just check like whatever I'm using now, whether I have anything better on that. So for example, my Grace, 5 on Grace. I'm using electric on a crit. So this could be an upgrade because I don't mind switching it to an anomaly proficiency one, especially if it rolls a couple into anomaly. So this is something that I will check. I'll push it up to the 3. It rolls crit rate, crit damage, which is not the best, but it could be used as the off piece of an electric DPS in future as well. So this one I will check. Let me just push it up to 6. Unfortunately, I'm like stuck in between. So what it is. It rolls in the crit rate again. As you upgrade and change your gear, come back into this music store, go ahead and dismantle anything that you upgraded halfway, like for example this Woodpecker Electro. I don't really like it. I will dismantle it. You get roughly around 80% back on estimate. This one, is okay, but it's like defense main stat on a freedom set. I don't really care too much about this. I'll dismantle this. I like this a lot. This one could be quite useful in future. I'll lock this. Stuff that I upgrade. And the other stuff that I have here, this one here looks good. I'll keep this as well. This one is on piece, on set piece. These are okay. Attack percentage on a 6 piece with 1 roll and crit rate. This one might not be super urgent as well because it's attack percentage on a anomaly proficiency. I don't mind using anomaly mastery instead. So I will proceed to refund this. So for the sake of this video, let's check out the rest, right? Let's not just leave us with half level crit rate, crit damage pieces. But if you're finding value in this video so far, I want to make it like natural and my thought process as I'm leveling gear up. Unfortunately, I'm getting all the pretty decent pieces. So it doesn't give an accurate representation of what it is like on a day-to-day. But let's take it out again. So this one rolls in the crit rate again, and we go up to 12 here. And now you start like seeing some HP. For attack main stat here, like this piece here, I probably don't have anything better at this stage of the game. So I will push it up to 15, especially flat attack gear. Very, very worth it to push it up. And it went into crit damage. So we have a nice crit damage piece with a decent amount of crit rate also. So I can use it on a lot of DPSs straight away. And it's a crit rate set. So I have straight away very good offensive pieces if I wanted to switch out a 2-piece Woodpecker Electro on anyone already. Okay, I thought it's going to be quite useful to share with you some thought process as well as I'm changing my gear. So previously my Zhu Yuan's kit looked something like this, running a 4-piece Aether set as well as a 2-piece crit rate. But very early on, you will change your gear very, very quickly and you will change your set pieces very easily. So if you haven't seen our build guide already, I think the Woodpecker Electro is a decent 4-piece, not as good as the main stat, the Aether set. But for this case, what I'm missing out in the subs here, this 20% crit damage, I think I'll be able to find it very easily by replacing one of these gears over here. Because this is like position 6, this is a position 3, which is defense main stat. I think I can switch this to Aether quite easily. But I don't mind losing a little bit because I'm going from 14.4% crit damage, some pen, over into, I maintain the crit damage, I get 9.6% crit value. Crit value is like crit rate times 2. And then 9.6 basically gives me that refund that I lose from the 4-piece Aether set bonus, which is 20% crit damage. So half just from changing to this. And this thought process here, I'm only getting 3.2% crit damage here, but I have this piece here that gives me 19.2. So I get 16 crit damage here with some attack. That already trumps the 4-piece Aether set effect that I lose out on, which is this 20% bonus. So it's a straightaway win, and I immediately will replace it, even though theoretically I'm going to an inferior set. That's my thought process of how I cater my gear. And then in that case, I will very comfortably just go ahead and dismantle this gear because I know that probably I won't get anything better than the ones that I just wrote. So dismantle, and I will check the anomaly electric piece, which is this one here, and then we will just roll it up. So it's still a decent off piece, and we roll into crit damage. So that is quite nice. This is a 4.8% with a crit attack 6%. This is going to be an upgrade for Grace. I actually have a farming tip for a lot of you on the channel. Check out this guide where I tell you what's the efficient way to actually get a lot of these gears very quickly so you can actually start rolling them into something good. If you found this video helpful again, do like and subscribe for more such future content, and see you in the next video.